Alright lads, welcome back to another Dauntless video. Before we start, a lot of you guys probably don't already know, but I've got a Dauntless creator code, or a Epics creator code, shall I say. If you haven't filled that store in for someone, definitely either consider putting me in there or someone else. I'm sure it would help them as well as me. So definitely make sure you do go over to the store within Dauntless and put someone's creator code in there. But today's topic of the video will be 5 top builds within 2020. These are my own opinion, only personal preference, but I think I've got quite a lot of these builds which most people use, and I think at least one of these builds are used by each and every one of you. If not, then I don't know what builds you guys are running. Definitely feel free to put that in the comment section below. It's nice to see what you guys are running as well. But yeah, each of these builds are probably used within my previous videos as well. But some people I know haven't seen every single one of these. And it's still nice to get a little bit of value out from those particular builds and see if people want to run them as well. So without further ado, I'm going to put you through to the 5 builds. Also, if you are new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing because we post Dauntless content here every single week. Normally 2 times, but it's always definitely in the 1 to 3 times a week threshold. So definitely consider subscribing. And if you like videos like this, definitely consider leaving this video a like. And I will catch you guys after the intro. Alright lads, starting with build number 1. This is a Mulkarian Iceborne build. It's probably one of the most used builds on this list, only because of the simple fact of having Iceborne, which is a really nice stealth for keeping you alive. It can be obtained really early on with the Boreas armor for the chest and the legs. This paired up with the arms as well can make a deadly trio combination of allowing you to run Iceborne, Rage and Discipline, plus with the addition of allowing you to have 1 technique cell slot there as well. This is only one of the variants. This goes for most of the builds on this list. But yeah, you don't have to run the Mulkarian strikers. You could run the Tordagoro, the Thrax ones, to be fair, or the Hellion ones. There is other options you can run, but the whole point of this build is for you to dash between the behemoths with the Mistral Currents with the legendary ability Q. Also, it gives you a nice survivability. You have the Rage, which is nice damage, Discipline, and obviously the Overpower. You can change the Conduit to Catalyst if you wish, if you want to tinker around with the build a little bit. You haven't got to run the Boreas arms. You could just change it, put in Tordagoros there, put Overpower in there, change the head to Shroud. Then you can put in one of the Overpower slots to Catalyst and changes for Catalyst as well. But this as a base is probably one of the most widely used builds in Dauntless at the moment. That's my opinion. I see a lot of people running Iceborne, and it will be similar to this build, or this is going to be one of the end game builds you'll be after when you do finish your first Reforge. Moving on to build number 2. This is very similar to the last build, except from we're running Chain Blades because we want to be running a flawless build. Also, the Iceborne has been replaced with Predator with the addition of having more Berserker as well. Instead of having just +3, we have a +6 here. The build overview looks a bit like this: Berserker 3, Wild Frenzy 3, Reaper Stance, Serrated Blades, and Bonded with Inferno's Fangs for that Overpower, Shroud Head with Discipline, Koshai Chest with Conduit, Mulkarian Arms with Berserker, Charog Feet with Overpower, and Pangar's Lantern with Conduit. You can change this lantern to whatever you wish, but for DPS purposes, if you're running this with Catalyst, definitely if you want to change this Conduit to Catalyst, you can. I would suggest running Pangar's Lantern if you're running the Ether Drive Tonic, just to get a lot of re-up of the Pangar's Lantern and get a nice easy Frost proc. But like I said, this is probably one of the best DPS options in the game right now. reason why we've chosen chain blades for this option is because it's more easy to go flawless, or should we say take no damage with this build, as to opposed to running strikers. This build is very, very good with strikers as well, but just for the sake of keeping your predator up, I think it's a lot easier to run chain blades, and a lot of people are more inclined to run predator if they're running chain blades. Moving on to build number 3. This is a special Ardent Cyclone build, aka Spin to Win build. This sort of meta, as you want to say, came out just after the sword rework late last year in 2020. A lot of people started running this build or similar version of this build just because of the simple fact you haven't got to do much work, and it does pretty much quite a lot of damage for having to do so little. Small story short, Energized paired up with Parasitic and Ardent Cyclone is a really, really nice combination. You don't have to run the Mulcarian Sword, but it's really, really nice for shot procs. Shot procking can lead to more overpower time. Plus, this build breaks Behemoth parts really, really well as well, so even more overpower time. You get the gist of it. If you want to see more on this build, I'll leave a link above and the description below. I did a video on it recently, and to be honest, it's quite OP actually, so I definitely do recommend checking out this build. Moving on to build number 4, we have a Pangar's Axe build. You've probably seen quite a lot of videos out with Pangar's Axe. It does devastating damage. It's probably the best axe out at the moment, and to be honest, for good reason. It can one hit behemoths in escalation as well. I've also done a video on this build, so definitely go check it out. I'll leave another link for this build above me and in the description below. Yeah, to be honest, it basically uses the power of the Pangar's ability. Once charged, attack places a frost brand, deals 3000 frost damage after 30 seconds. Players can destroy that brand prematurely, detonating it 50%, increased damage, charges every 90 seconds. This is really, really nice for hunting grounds, but also for escalation. And they're the only things you're really going to be doing right now, so that's why it's a very hot topic now, hot pick for hunting grounds. So as soon as hunting grounds came out, people were using Pangar. I use it quite a lot as well, especially on the repeaters as well. Doesn't really matter what weapon you use Pangar on. It does a lot of damage when you break the brand early. But with the axe, you could do some serious damage if you crit with it and you break the brand prematurely. Moving on to build number 5, the final build in this video. It is the one-shot Valkyrian build. I'm pretty sure one of the partners made this build up, but a different variant. Well, I've got my own variant here, and I'm going to quickly show you that now. Got the Agaris Axe with Sharpened, Cunning, Grim Onslaught, Overcharged Cylinder, and Sovereign's Wrath. Shroud Head with Discipline, Rezakiri Chest with Zeal, Tordagora's Arms with Overpower, Charog Feet with Discipline, and Drast Lantern with Zeal. Tonics mean nothing in this build. The whole point is to make sure you crit with your Sharpened, with your Zeal active. Obviously, Rage is always active when Discipline is active, and obviously Overpower activates when you break a Behemoth apart. But the whole point is to use your Drast Tap to deal with 30% increased damage. That paired up with the Zeal is the main thing of this build. It basically allows your Drast, your one throw of your Overcharged Cylinder, Grim Onslaught throw to have an insane amount of damage. That paired up with the Cunning gives you the higher chance to do more damage with that one throw. This leads to obviously one-shotting Behemoth, especially in escalation with the addition of Amps. Obviously, the reason why it's the Malk one-shot Behemoth axe is because it's Terra. It does work on the Terra escalation, but obviously not as well for obvious reasons. But regardless, most people run this build with Iceborne, which is not a problem, but it just basically means that you don't have a +6 discipline, and I'm pretty sure you either lose a Cunning or something else. Regardless, this is probably one of the most used builds from last year, and if you haven't seen it, here's what it looks like.